Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday live stream on mastering business funding application. Such a fun topic. It's not, but it's something that everyone has to do if they do want to get funding. Hey, listen, my name's Carl Peterson. I'm Credit Suite's content and social media lead, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you all here today. Whether you're tuning in live or catching the replay, you're in for some valuable insights for sure. So today's main topic and main focus is going to be looking into the strategies that can significantly boost your chances in actually securing funding for your business when it comes to the actual application process. I know firsthand how challenging and sometimes just flat out overwhelming the funding process can be. And that's really why I think it's so great that you're here today with me. I hope that you can walk away feeling much more confident than maybe you did beforehand. Hey, and also if you're just coming in, we just went live. So drop your business name in chat. Tell me where you're located. I'll give you a shout out right here on stream. I say this every stream. You can check back and check to make sure that I'm not just saying this, but this is one of my favorite parts of the stream, of knowing who I'm talking to and where you're coming in from. So make sure you drop in chat where you're located and your business name, and I'll give you a shout out. All right. So our first key strategy is all about research and targeting. Not all funding sources are created equal, and finding the right fit can absolutely make or break your application. Let me paint a real quick picture for you. Okay. So imagine you're a tech startup company focusing on sustainable energy solutions, right? And you wouldn't want to waste time applying for funding from an investor who primarily backs e-commerce businesses. That doesn't make any sense. That's not a match. And that's why targeted research is absolutely crucial. Here's a solid starting point for you. Okay. So create a spreadsheet of just potential funders that you're interested in, that align with, what you're looking for, and then include columns for their focus areas, and then typical funding amounts and application deadlines. All of this, in most cases, can be found directly on that lender's website. And this will help you prioritize your efforts and avoid wasting time on any kind of poor matches. But don't stop there. Dig deeper. So look at the portfolio companies. Are there similarities to your business? Have they funded companies in your actual industry before? This information is practically gold when it comes to tailoring your pitch, which we'll talk about a little bit in a minute. But remember, a targeted approach might mean fewer applications, but it drastically increases your chances of actually getting funding, actually that success of getting a yes, right? So quality over quantity is definitely the name of the game here. Want to give some shout outs to people popping in. We have, looks like, Rijika. I'm so sorry if I say anything's wrong, or I'm going to give that blanket statement right now, but looks like Rijika in Temple, Texas, coming over from YouTube. Nice to have you here. Thank you for being here. Then we have over from YouTube, looks like Expandemonium, representing out of Anaheim, California. Nice to have you here over from our YouTube stopping in. That's a beautiful part of the state for sure. And then we have Infinity Project Management in, it looks like, Nevada. Nice to have you here as well from YouTube. And then Triplet Transportation LLC in Forest, Mississippi. Very, very cool. Nice to have you here as well. Nice to have everybody popping in. And by the way, if you're just popping in, I want to give you a shout out. So drop your name in chat, and I will absolutely drop your business name in chat and your location. I'll absolutely give you a shout out right here, right now on stream. So let's keep moving along. Let's talk about the actual business plan, right? So this isn't just a document you create and forget about. It's just not. It's a solid business plan a solid business plan is one of the foundations in your funding journey. And your business plan could clearly communicate just three things, right? First is your vision. Second is market opportunity. And then third is how you actually plan to execute that. First, let's dive into your vision. Okay. So this is where you get to dream real big, right? So this is where you get to actually list, where do you see your company in 5 to 10 years? You need to paint that picture vividly for the lenders, for whoever's reading it on the other side. Next is market opportunity. And this is where you prove that big dream isn't just a fantasy, isn't just you saying, of course you can say in 10 years, I want to be worth $100 billion. Of course you do. Everybody wants to, but this is actually where you can prove that you can reach $100 billion and it's not just a fantasy. So you want to use data to actually show the size of your target market and growth trends and how your solution actually fits in. And this can be data that you already have based off your products, your customer base, but also don't be afraid to just simply Google things. You can definitely find a lot of answers out about your very specific situation, your very specific industry and target market just by Googling. So, and then lastly is execution, right? So this is where you get into that nitty gritty. How will you turn that vision into a reality? So key components that you should actually focus on in your business plan should be a detailed financial projection, right? Be realistic. That's a major thing here. Be realistic, but also don't be afraid to show some ambition. Next, you want a thorough market analysis. So show that you understand your industry inside and out. Even if you're a newbie in the industry, you don't want to come off that way. You also want a clear value proposition. So, what makes your solution unique? You need to be answering these questions when you go to get funding for, when you're creating this business plan and actually presenting it to a possible lender that will give you the money that you need. And then the last is competitive landscape. So, who are your competitors and how will they outperform you and how will you outperform them? Talk about it. So remember, your business plan is not just a document, it is an actual roadmap to your success. Treat it as a living document and make sure that it is updated regularly as your business just constantly evolves and evolves. And this isn't only great for you and your business, but it can also get you just one step closer to the funding, right? So when it comes to getting lenders' attention and trust, a really great way of starting that is simply having a business plan. Now, let's move on to your actual pitch. So this is your chance to actually make a lasting impression. So you need to make it count, just kind of like an interview, right? This is your business interview in a way. This is your pitch. Think of your pitch as your story. So the story of your business, the story of you and where you fit into that business puzzle. And like any good story, it needs to be engaging from that very first sentence. Start with a hook. Start with a hook. That's very content and social media lead of me to say, but you should start with a hook. What problem are you solving? Make it relatable. For example, if you are developing a new type of eco-friendly packaging, you might start with something like, every year, billions of pounds of plastic ends up in our oceans. We're here to change that. It makes them go, oh, wait, whoa, this person has something, but also, wow, okay, we're listening. Make it catchy, make it snappy. It doesn't have to be a Hollywood production, Oscar winning script, but just make it real to you, make it real to your product, make it real to your story, but also make sure that it catches in that first hook. Then just clearly explain your solution and why it's unique. This is where you can let your passion actually shine through. Remember, investors aren't just investing in your idea or even directly investing in your business. They're mostly investing in you. So you got to sell it. So use storytelling to actually make it memorable. Share an anecdote about how you came up with the idea or a customer success story if you have one. And then here's the most important part. Practice, practice, and you guessed it, practice. Pitch to your friends, your family, your dog, whatever. Anyone who will practically listen, be practicing, because the more that you practice, the more natural and the more confident you're actually sound when it really counts. And then here's a little pro tip for you. Just record yourself giving the pitch. Yeah, I get it. It's painful to watch yourself on video. I have myself covered on this stream right now, but but it is a really great way to identify areas for improvement. So moving on to documentation and traction. Are you with me? By the way, if you're just coming in, drop that name of your business, drop where you're located. I'll give you a shout out right here on stream. So documentation and traction. This is where you actually prove that you're serious and that your business has potential. So think of it as the kind of like the supporting evidence for your business case, right? So, an essential document should include financial statements and tax returns and relevant patents or contracts if you have any. Just make sure that they're all up to date and well organized. Obviously, that's something that you should have, ready to go at any time, regardless. But especially in this funding application, nothing says unprepared, like fumbling through papers or not having the right documents on hand when they're asked for. Now let's actually talk about the traction side of that, right? So I said there's two parts of this, documentation and tracking. Let's actually talk about the traction part. Or not tracking, excuse me, traction. Let's talk about that part. So this is essentially important for early stage businesses. Investors want to see that you're not just sitting on an idea. It's easy to come up with an idea, but if you're actively building and growing that idea, it seems to be a little bit more legitimate. It's easy to come up with an idea. It's harder. It's much harder to actually implement how to make that idea not only a reality but a successful reality. So ways you can demonstrate actual traction can be highlighting existing customers or partnerships that you may have, or showing user growth or revenue. Even if it's small, it is something, right? And then presenting letters of intent from potential customers. These are all things that you can do to just demonstrate traction very easily. Don't be discouraged if your numbers are small, right? Every business starts somewhere. The business that you're pitching to, the lender, started off with zero clients in most cases. So remember that. What's important is showing momentum and showing potential, and showing that you're not just looking for free money, but you're actually in there to make your business dreams a reality. And remember, the more concrete evidence you can provide in this step, the stronger your case, the more likely you are to get that actual funding. It's one thing to say your product is great. It's a whole nother to actually show that people are using it and loving it, or have a very, very legitimate reason on why they will actually use it or will love it. Let's talk about two crucial elements here, which is your team and funding requests, right? So we're just going to keep moving on. So first, your team. I can't stress this enough. Your team is one of your biggest assets. Investors aren't just betting on an idea, they're betting on the actual people who will execute it too. So when presenting your team, you want to make sure to highlight relevant industry experience. You want to highlight past successes, especially if they're in related fields. That's a massive green flag. And then you also want to mention complementary skills. And what does that mean? Well, it's just basically skills, how shows how your team's skills mesh and they combine to create this kind of powerhouse. It's always a good rule of thumb in business. If you're terrible at sales but you're great at marketing, you have 50% of a company. You got to get somebody who's great at sales or be better at sales. If you can present a company or a product or a plan to a lender and say, look, I have all these people who are experts in all these things, and we combine and make this big powerhouse of a company, that's an automatic green flag. But you also want to be honest about any gaps in your team, but sure, you have a plan to address it. Maybe you're planning to hire a CMO with your funding, for example. That's where you want to mention that. And also, you might be saying, well, I don't have a team. I'm a solo business. That's okay. Do the exact same. Talk about your industry expertise, talk about past experiences, talk about past success, whether it's with that specific business and product or just you as a person. That's important too. So this still applies even if you're a solo, preneur. So now let's discuss the actual funding request. So this is where many entrepreneurs just straight up stumble, either by asking for way too much or way too little. Here's some tips that I have for you for really nailing your funding requests. First off is be realistic and justify the amount. Show that you've done your homework and understand your financial needs. And then also, you're not just walking in with a random number that you pulled out of a hat. You should be walking in with an exact amount that you're hoping for. And most importantly, be able to point to the why. right? They want to see, okay, we understand this amount, but what's it for? They need that answer. So be prepared to have that answer. And then lastly, you want to clearly outline how you use the funds. Be specific. Saying for marketing is not enough. That's not an answer. You need to break it down much deeper. Link the funding to specific milestones or growth targets, even. This shows investors how their money will drive your business forward. Each check mark, that's great to have laid out. And also, in turn, it will show them how they may get a return in the process. If they're a traditional investor, they may get a kickback. If they're just a lender or offering some line of business credit for you or something, then that gives them a peace of mind, like, okay, we're going to get our money back. And then an investor will say, hey, we might get our money back plus a little bit more. So that's always nice to have those check marks marked out, but also showing that the fuel to get past each of those finish lines is the money that you're asking for. And then, remember that asking for funding in any capacity isn't just about getting money. It's about forming a partnership at the end of the day. So show potential investors how their involvement will actually be crucial to your business's success. And that's not only good for right here, right now, getting funding, but also in the future. If you have more funding that you're going to need, you already have a connection. You already have a relationship established that you can just simply go back to, maybe skip a few steps because you've already established that relationship and that partnership, and it'll be much easier to get funding down the line. Mike South coming in from Facebook. Hello from STL. Nice to see you, Mike. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. So let's talk about the application process itself and the all important follow up, right? So, first, the application. This is very much one of those devil in the detail type of moments right here. So, this is what you should know. You should absolutely be following instructions meticulously, like hyper focused on instructions. If they ask for a 10-page proposal, do not send them 20 pages thinking more is better. Don't send 8, send 10. If they ask for 10, you send 10. Next, you want to double check for errors. It sounds obvious. It sounds like a no-brainer. Don't overlook this. A typo, especially in your financials, can be disastrous. And then also, you want to submit as early as possible, or if possible. This shows that you're not only organized, but it also gives you a bit of a buffer in case of technical issues or any kind of issues whatsoever. And let me tell you, the likelihood of you having to resubmit documentation or having to wait long periods after submission is kind of a high chance. So account for that potential, and take whatever steps you might need to take to make that process as easy as possible. Now, what happens after you actually hit the submit button? This is honestly where many business owners may drop the ball. So after submitting, send a polite thank you note, right? Thank them for their time and consideration, and be prepared for due diligent questions. Have your documentation ready, have your answers ready, and be responsive. You should also keep potential funders updated on significant developments as well. Did you land a very big client? You really should let them know. You should really let them know. Like, now is the time to let them know in this situation. And then also remember that the funding process doesn't end with the application. Stay engaged, be professional, and actually show that you're committed to building a ongoing relationship with them, not just securing a line of credit and then going to the next lender, which might be the case, and that's totally fine. But you want to just make sure that you're building those relationships as much as you can. Now, these things are not as crucial as the other things that we've talked about previously. Does submitting a thank you note to them, does that get you certified approved? Of course not, but it does leave a nice impression on them. And then last and most importantly, if your business isn't even fundable to begin with, then you're just simply wasting a lot of precious time. Did you know that there's over 100 factors that goes into a lender looking at your business and saying, okay, they pass the sniff test, they're fundable? This happens first from the lender's side of things. Now, you may be watching right now and going, Carl, thanks for the heads up and everything, but I think I would definitely know if my business was actually fundable or not. I have this amount of cash flow or these amount of customers. Thanks for the heads up. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's a little bit more than that. So at Credit Suite, we talk and help business owners who have a solid product or have a really great cash flow, but are being denied over tiny reasons that you wouldn't even think about, like having an incorrect type of address or having two different addresses on two different pieces of paperwork in a massive stack. And that's why they get denied. So the very first step you should be taking is actually confirming that you have your fundability in check 100%. And here's what's cool. You don't even need to search very far for that answer. You're literally right here. We have a fundability mini course that is 100% free to take, no strings attached. You can literally click the link that's about to be dropped in chat in any moment and get started on that. It is creditsuite.com/foundation. It will give you an introduction to fundability and also just highlight how important it actually is in the entire funding process to get your fundability in check. That link should be available for you now on the platform you're watching. Just simply go to that creditsuite.com/foundation and get started. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. Look, before we sign off, I just want to leave you with a final thought, okay? Which is securing funding is absolutely a journey and absolutely not a destination. So stay persistent, keep refining your approach, and don't be discouraged by setbacks because as cliche as this might be, it's true, which is every no only gets you closer to a yes. I get it. You might be cringing, but hey, there's a lot of truth in that. So remember that some of the most successful businesses today of all time faced numerous rejections before getting a dime of any type of funding or any type of customers. So your job is to learn from each interaction and keep improving each time as you go. And with that, I want to thank you all for joining us today. If you found this helpful in any kind of way, do not forget to like, do not forget to subscribe to whatever channel you're watching me on right now. And hey, this stream in its entirety will be available to watch back in video in the next few minutes. So if you missed anything or want to go back, you can absolutely do so. Thank you, Annie, for helping me out in the virtual studio behind the scenes. My name is Carl Peterson, and we'll be seeing you all again really